Hello everybody, my name is Tom Burns, and this is a different sort of video that I'm doing today. I, wait a minute. Yep, okay, that's fine. Sorry. So, the video I'm going to be doing today is, it's a different one. Different sort of one, a sort of video I've never really done before, but I really wanted to make this video because I saw I watched a video earlier this morning about I can't remember the channel name now, but I watched a couple of his videos and it was about bizarre deaths. I like watching videos that get me thinking, that get me trying to figure things out, and these sort of videos usually do. And this one in particular left me confused by two particular deaths in this said video, because unless he's left a lot of details out, the deaths are very, very confusing, and to me make no sense in terms of what the outcome was. But anyway, we're going to get into it, and we're going to talk about two bizarre deaths that, in my opinion, have been left unexplained. And I have some theories of my own as to what I think has potentially gone on. And some explanations of my own that for the reason explanations of my own that makes me believe that um the conclusion that they come to for these deaths just didn't make any sense. So there's two different deaths we're going to talk about, but there's one that I'm going to delve quite deep into, but there's another one which I will talk about, but it won't be as in depth. So we'll get that one out of the way first. I say get out of the way. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Of course, every death matters the same. Especially if it's an innocent person that's not done any wrong. But the first death we're going to talk about today is it's a death that happened in February last year. 11th of Feb to be exactly. Oh no, hang on. No, sorry. October 19th. It was, I believe. Hang on a minute, what's going on here? Oh, no. October 2024 it was. And basically, the person in question, sorry if I butcher this name, but the person in question is Gursimran Kaur, or Kaya. And she was a 19-year-old who had moved to the USA, moved to Canada from India. And, she moved alongside her mother, and they both started working at the same Walmart. And things were going well. They were happy, and they were quite close. So, and they always worked a lot of the same shifts. So her mum was always used to seeing her daughter, Gursimran, around the store, like on a regular basis. Like she was never gone for long if she was gone, and whenever she was gone, she would say where she was going, whether it be she was going to find some out the back, or she was going on a break, or whatever. So this particular day, they'd been working together in the store, and she'd noticed that her daughter Gursimran had been missing for longer than usual. So it was longer than a break. It was longer than what she usually would be missing for, and she never really said where she was going, which was unusual. But she did every now and then say, because if she was busy, she wouldn't get to say. So she never said where she was going. She was missing, and her mum didn't think anything of it to start with, because she thought, oh, she's probably just busy. She got carried away doing something. She'll turn up soon. When she didn't turn up after an hour, that's when her mum started getting worried, because she thought, well, no matter how busy she is, I would have seen her walking around or doing something on the floor here, and working somewhere. I would have seen her. There's no way I wouldn't have seen her in an hour. So she started getting worried. But she gave it a little bit longer, and then when she hadn't turned up for another 20 minutes, I believe anyway from the video that this is, I'm going off the video. I know some of the details, but I'm going off the video for some of the details as well that I watched earlier. That's when she got really, really worried, and then everybody that was working that day decided to look round for her. So they're looking round, they're looking round, they're looking round. They can't seem to find her anywhere. So then one of the employees says to um, the mother, "Oh, I know that she works in the bakery a lot, and she likes to spend time in the bakery because she like, you know." And again, going off the video, so don't shoot me if some of the details are wrong. But anyway, regardless as to the reason why she went to the bakery, they had an idea to check the bakery because one, it was one of the only places they hadn't checked, and two, it was where she seemed to go a lot, according to the video I watched earlier and her colleague. So anyway, they go to the bakery, and the mum's looking around in another part of the bakery, and the employee or the colleague that went into the bakery with her mum noticed a leak coming, or some sort of substance or some sort of liquid coming from underneath the oven door, this big walk-in oven. And this employee was like, sorry, I did forget to do one thing. I meant to do this while I was talking so you could see who she was. There, that is the girl in question, very young girl, 19 years of age, and what a way to go! And I'll tell you in a minute. I'm getting to it now. So yeah, this colleague of them both noticed there was some sort of leak coming from inside the walk-in oven, and they thought, well, that's unusual because the only thing that really goes in the walk-in oven is bread and a few other things that wouldn't really cause that sort of leak. So they're very confused, and because they've not seen her, they start to think, what if she's in there? So anyway, they open the walk-in oven, and the worst, unfortunately, was to be true. Gersimran, unfortunately, was inside the walk-in oven, and she had been in there for God knows how long, and basically she had cooked, and she was unfortunately dead. And the leak that the colleague saw, that she pointed out to her mother, was unfortunately Gersimran's body fluids. Now, it's such a sad way to go, and I don't really know what else to say about it, but that's not the point of the video. The point of the video isn't for me to really tell you about this person that's died and how they died. It's the point of this video is because I believe that this is unexplained, and I'll tell you for why. So basically, during the investigation to her death, of course, because they have to investigate, because she got, the way she went, it could very easily be foul play, so they have to investigate it. And they investigated it, and it was put down to an accident. And when that came out, that it was put down to an accident, 4 or 5 women from across the USA and Canada who worked in Walmarts, who had the exact same walk-in oven, because they all have the same walk-in oven with the same safety features and the same stuff on it, said, we're all very confused. They said, we don't know how somebody could accidentally lock themselves in the walk-in oven and end up cooking themselves to death. We don't know how that's possible. And they showed that, even if you swung the oven door open and it bounced back, that it wouldn't shut. It's too heavy. It would slow down far too quick and it wouldn't shut. They showed that if you just push it a bit, it wouldn't shut. They said if you just, they showed if they just pulled it a little bit, it wouldn't shut. You have to physically pull it like that, or physically push it like that until you hear a click. Like, there's no way for it to accidentally shut on you. And even if there was a way for it to accidentally shut on you, there is a emergency handle on the other side of the door that you simply press and the oven opens. So the fact that they said in the conclusion to this that I mean, on the article that I've just read, apparently they still don't really know, but from what the video said that I watched, the conclusion that they pretty much came to terms with was it was an accident. But explain to me how these women came out and showed these videos about how it's practically impossible for one of these doors to accidentally shut on you because you have to physically pull it or push it, pull it or push it. Um, Explain to me how that could be deemed as an accident. And even if she did accidentally shut the oven and the oven somehow came on and she was in there, she's a Walmart employee. She will know about the safety feature inside there, and you can even see it. Like, it's not even hard to see. And even if it was a case of, well, the handle's hot, I'm sure she'd rather burn a hand and have a bad burn on a hand than die. So to me, it makes no sense that it was an accident because it's practically impossible for it to be an accident. So for them to rule it as an accident really puzzled me because I say ruled it. Apparently, it's still all out. For they haven't really come to a conclusion, but according to the video, that's pretty much what they're saying, but they haven't officially said it. But for me, it's like that's practically impossible. Like, you watch them videos of them women who showed how hard it is for that door to accidentally close on you. Even if you swing it open in like a rage, or if you're angry or something, you swing it open and you go inside and it bounces back. It still doesn't bounce back enough for that door to close. It gets close to closing and it sort of comes back the other way and opens up a little bit again. So it's practically impossible for that to have closed on an accident. And even if it did, she knows that there's as a Walmart employee, I would imagine that they have mentioned that there is a safety feature inside the oven in case you do get shut in the oven, and you can just press the button and you can get out. Even if it means burning your hand if it was already hot in there, I'm sure you'd rather do that than die. I know I would. So you press it, and it releases the door and you can get out. So how does somebody accidentally get stuck in there when there's a safety feature inside that you can just press and come out? It doesn't make any sense to me. And the theories that I came up with, and with the investigation still being sort of up in the air and they don't know, I feel sort of shouldn't I talk about this? But it's only my opinion, and these aren't facts or anything like that. And of course, my condolences go out to the family and the friends of Gersimran, and I do apologise if I'm not saying the name right, but my thoughts and condolences go out to them. Of course, this death happened, over about a year and a half ago now, but I'm sure they're still feeling the effects of it. I'm sure they're still devastated by it. So my thoughts and prayers and condolences still, of course, go out to the family and friends of Gersimran. However, these are my opinions, and if I do offend anybody with these opinions, I do apologize. But at the end of the day, like I said, these are my opinions, and I should get to have my opinions on my own channel. So this is my theories are there's one of two things. Well, there's one of three things that must have happened because it's practically impossible for her to be trapped in there by accident. Because even if she was and she wanted to get out, she could have got out, right? So I don't believe that it could have possibly been an accident. And if it was, I don't know how. Maybe she tripped and she fell and she knocked herself out. Maybe that's how it happened. She shut herself in because she was cleaning the door and she didn't want it to inside of the door and she didn't want it to move back and forth. She shut herself in. She tripped. She fell. She banged her head, something like that. Knocked herself out. Oven switched on. Whatever. But I don't really believe that theory. It's possible, I suppose, but it's very it's unlikely. My three theories are this. So my first theory is that someone had knocked her unconscious somehow, whether it be drugged, whether it be punched, something like that. I don't think she was punched because I think obviously you'd have seen the marks and the bruise of the punch. And I also think whatever she was knocked out with drug wise, I think is a drug that isn't likely to be seen on a talk screen, because I believe they probably have done one of them and found nothing. But I believe she was knocked out somehow. Well, I don't believe, this is one of my theories. I believe that she could have been knocked out in one way or another, whatever way it may have been, put in the oven, and then the oven switched on, and that's how she died that way. The other way is that she could have been in that oven cleaning it, because that seems to be the going thing with this story, that's what she was doing. She was in there and she was cleaning the oven, and that's how she got stuck in there. So the other thing that could have happened was she was in there cleaning the oven. Someone saw her cleaning the oven. For whatever reason, we may never know, they decided to switch the oven on. They pushed the door closed, switched the oven on, and they wouldn't let her out until, well, they never let her out. And then they ran off after they knew that she wasn't going to, after they knew that she was practically gone, they ran off. Or they went back on the floor as if, no, they didn't run off, they went back on the floor as if nothing happened. Because from what I know, there's no CCTV in the bakery. There's no CCTV, because if there was, we could watch CCTV. We could be like, right, okay, well, this is what happened. This is how she got in. This is what happened. But I don't believe there is any CCTV, because if there was, this would be a lot of an easier discussion. So that's one of my theories. So that's two of my theories. She was either knocked out, or she was someone saw her in the oven, shut the door, stayed at the door, didn't let her get out, and did it that way. So the other thing, the other theory, and the one that I think might be the one that's unfortunately the truth, I believe that this was just a very elaborate way to commit suicide. That's the theory that I believe the most. It's sad to even think that, but I do believe that. I think that's the most likely scenario out of the ones that, or theories out of the ones I've said. It's a very creative way to commit suicide. I'm sure maybe people have done it in the past, but it's not one that's used very often. If you commit suicide, it's usually especially with women, they slash their legs or pills or something like that. With guys, it's usually a gun or hanging. But then again, women, there's no saying that women wouldn't use a gun or hang themselves. I'm just saying that, these are the most common ways that women and men commit suicide. But yeah, I I don't understand how it could have possibly been an accident after seeing the videos of the girls, 4 different girls from 4 different WalMarts, all showing the same thing about their walking ovens, and the walking oven at the Walmart that Gerson Ram was at was the exact same. It had the exact same lever on the inside to get out. There's no reason for her to have. There is no way, in my opinion, that she could have accidentally locked herself in there and then accidentally died. Like, I don't believe that, because the video evidence from these girls who have shown that that door cannot accidentally close is just proof enough to me that it can't be an accident. And for the police to sort of be like, well, you know, we haven't really come to a full conclusion yet, but we're thinking it's probably an accident. Have you not seen these videos? Or have you seen these videos and it's the reason that's stopping you from actually conclusively saying that this was an accident? I don't know. But, like I said, if anybody gets offended because of my theories, I do apologise. I really do. Like, but at the end of the day, these are my opinions, and that's all I really have to say about it. But yeah, like I said, my condolences go out to the friends and the family of Gerson Moran. What a horrible way to go, and may she rest in peace. 19 years of age, no age, and what a way to go. She must have been so scared, unless she did it to herself, which is one of my theories. She still must have been scared. If she did do it to herself, it's because she was at that point and she didn't think there was any other way out, and that's very sad if that's the truth. But like I said, my condolences go out to the family, friends of Gertie Rand, and may she rest in peace. So the get rid of that, and then So the next um the next story we're going to talk about is, give me a second, let me move that back over here just for a second. Is about Corey McKeague. Now, Corey McKeague, he was a he served the Royal Air Force Regiment. He he was an RAF regiment gunner. And he was serving in Suffolk, I believe. And yeah, he was based at RAF Honington, which is yeah, in Suffolk. So yeah, the RAF Honington. And basically he had some time off from the RAF. I think he had a weekend off or something like that, and decided that he was going to make the most of his weekend off, because I don't think he got many off, and he was going to go to he was going to travel to um, to St Edmunds, Bury St Edmunds, where him and his friends were going to have a drink and have a good night. And yeah, he and his friends had a few drinks, and they ended up at the Flex nightclub. They had a few drinks there. They enjoyed. And at some point during the night, Corey ended up getting kicked out of the Flex nightclub because he was too drunk. But his friends weren't kicked out, and for whatever reason, his friends decided not to stay with him and make sure he got home safe. They decided to stay in the club and enjoy themselves while he was kicked out on his own, and he had to try and find his way home. Now, obviously, he did drive into St Edmunds, Bury St Edmunds, but obviously he wasn't going to drive back, and he parked just outside like the main city or town of Bury St Edmunds before walking into town. And yeah, like I said, for whatever reason, they didn't come with him. And like I said, at some point during the night, he was kicked out by the doorman because he was too drunk. McKeague, Corey decided, Corey was no trouble. He walked off and decided to go to the his usual takeaway, Mamma Mia's restaurant, where he usually got his takeaways, whether it be a burger, whether it be pizza, whatever. And that was between 1:15 and 1:30 in the morning. So he goes and gets his takeaway, and then he starts walking through the streets, presumably trying to find his way home or find his way to his car so he can sleep it off in the car or whatever. Presumably he's trying to find a safe place to go and sleep it off. So he does all that. He walks for a bit, and we've got the CCTV footage, which I will play for you in a minute. But he's walking, and he decides he walks to this cul-de-sac, and it's a cul-de-sac, or if you know what a cul-de-sac is, you'll know that there is no way through. It's a cul-de-sac, and it's a dead end basically. But he goes to the cul-de-sac, and there wasn't really much in the cul-de-sac. There was just a load of wheelie bins, and basically that was the last time he was seen on CCTV going into this cul-de-sac. He was never seen coming out, and there was just mainly bins. Now, the morning after he'd been out drinking on I believe it was a Saturday night, or it might have been a Friday night, but regardless, that's either Saturday or Sunday morning, the the bins were emptied, which is a very weird day of the week to empty the bins. It's usually a weekday, but anyway, the bins were emptied. Now, his mobile phone was tracked along a route between Bury St Edmunds and a landfill site near Barton Mills, which is about 20 miles away or something like that. So they were like, right, okay, so the route that his phone went on was the very, very same route that the bin lorry most likely would have gone on to get to the landfill from Bury St Edmunds. So at first, the police were like, well, maybe he climbed into a wheelie bin when he was drunk, because people do stupid things when they're drunk. They climb into things, they sleep in weird places. And the police were like, right, okay, so maybe he jumped into the wheelie bin, and that was it. And unfortunately, in the morning before he even woke up, he was thrown into the back of the uh, the lorry, the and the dustbin lorry. And obviously, as you know, if you've ever seen a dustbin lorry, whether it be in the UK, US, wherever, they have that thing that lowers and crushes and compresses the rubbish, so it makes more room for more. And they're like, well, maybe he slept in one of the wheelie bins. He was put into the back of the dustbin lorry, and he was crushed to death. That was what they said. Well, that's what they thought. So anyway, they found out which lorry it was that had picked up the rubbish from said cul-de-sac, and they impounded it. They checked it, found nothing. They found no traces of any body being in any sort of corpse or body being in there. There was no sign of blood or clothing or bones or anything. So they were like, right, okay, well, that's strange. We were sure that this is what happened to him. Anyway, they went to the landfill in Barton Mills, or near Barton Mills, and they looked for his remains. Now, they found nothing. They found nothing. They found absolutely nothing. They dug for like what was it, like 2 days, something like that, and they dug like 26 feet down, found nothing. No remains, no remains, no bones, no clothes, no blood, nothing to suggest that Corrie had been in the back of that lorry. So anyway, basically, um, the one thing that pushed them towards believing that this is what happened, and basically them saying that this is what happened, even though there's no evidence to suggest it had, was that originally the bin lorry had been carrying 33 pounds worth of rubbish, which is a relatively normal weight for what they would pick up on their route. However, at a later date, the police discovered that the lorry had been carrying a significantly larger weight, and it was 220 pounds, which, of course, there could definitely be a body in there. So that's what made them come to the assumption that he had indeed been in the back of that lorry. He had indeed been crushed, and that is how he died. Now, this is where I get a little bit annoyed, but before we go any further, let's watch the footage together of Corrie walking through the street. And if you know anything, of course, I mean, I don't know any of the details of who you'd phone or anything like that, but if you know, if you know anything about this, or you're like, oh, I recognise this guy, I've seen him somewhere, Google the people to ring and ring them up and let them know. Because although the police have closed the case, like I said, and I'll get to it in a minute, I don't believe that happened, and I'll get to it in a minute. But let's watch the CCTV footage. So there he is. So he's already got his takeaway, as you can see, and he's walking up this road. These two people are blurred out, and yeah. So he's got his takeaway. He's come from takeaway. He's walking. You can see he's stumbling a bit. He's drunk, and it looks like he dropped something there. And then he keeps going, and then that's well, that's not the best version of the CCTV footage. Let me just because that wasn't the full CCTV footage. Give me a second. 30 seconds. All right. Oh, that's the same. Right, so basically there's another bit of CCTV footage that basically shows... Oh, hang on a minute. Here we go. Last sighting of Corey McKeague. Here we go. So, this is the last sighting of him. So this... Alright. So this here is the last sighting. So up this road here, so you go this way, that's going on to the cul-de-sac, and this is the last place that he was seen. Now, if he had come back out of that cul-de-sac, the same camera would have picked him up, but he was never seen coming out of the cul-de-sac. So this is the last known sighting of him. So he sort of walks, yeah, so there he is. He comes from the street that he was just on, I presume. He's looking round. He doesn't really know where he is. He's drunk. He's disorderly. Well, not disorderly, but he's drunk. He doesn't have a clue where he is. He walks straight towards that cul-de-sac where the bins are, and he's not seen again. Oh. And that's it. So basically, for me, what really confuses me is the uncertainty with this case, right? There's a few things that bother me. So basically, at an inquest, it was confirmed that Corey McKeague, or it was said that Corey McKeague did get crushed in the back of a bin lorry, did get put on that landfill, and that is how he died, right? Now, there's a few issues I've got here. So, issue one, I don't understand how they can make that presumption when they searched the bin lorry, they searched the landfill, found no signs of a body, no signs of anything, no signs of blood in the back of the bin lorry, which there would have been lots of. If you think about it, how much blood is in a human body, the pints and pints and pints of it, and you're telling me that back of that bin lorry was not covered in that in blood, because it would have been. If the human body would have got crushed in the back of it, it would have been covered in blood. The fact that they found nothing in the back of that bin lorry suggests that he never was in the back of that bin lorry. The question is, if he wasn't in the back of that bin lorry, what indeed was making the weight be so much more than what it ever usually is? That's the question. That's what made the police sort of come to the conclusion that he was indeed in the back of that bin lorry. But if he was, where's the blood? That's the first thing. Like, where's the blood? Like, there would have been loads, but there wasn't any. Don't tell me that you can get crushed and there's no blood. There would have been, because there's pints and pints of it in your body. If you're getting crushed, there's going to be blood coming out of it, every orifice and everything. So that's one thing. The next thing for me, right, is they searched the landfill for, I believe, 2 days. I could be wrong with that, but they searched it for a long time anyway. 26 feet down they went into that landfill. And in that 26 feet, and they searched pretty much every bit of that landfill, they found nothing. No signs of his clothes that he was wearing that night, which was a pink Ralph Lauren polo shirt, white jeans, and like brown boots. No sign of anything like that. No sign of bones, no signs of remains, and no sign of any blood. So, again, they found nothing. And the other thing that bothers me, right, is so in an earlier interview that they did with his dad before the inquest was heard and they came to that conclusion, right? The earlier interview they did with his dad was absolutely adamant that he would never climb in the back of a dirty bin that was either full or dirty. He would, especially wearing white trousers. He said he would never do it. Even drunk, he would never do it. Right? He was adamant. His dad was absolutely adamant. So his dad didn't believe the story the police were saying about, oh well, this is what must have happened. Look at blah blah blah. His dad didn't believe it. But then the inquest comes. The inquest then is over, and the result of said inquest is, oh, well, yeah, he definitely was in the back of that bin lorry. He definitely was in that bin. And unfortunately, he did get crushed. And that is how he died. His dad then does a statement after said inquest saying thank you to the police and thank you for, letting us know exactly what's happened to our boy. It doesn't make it any easier. And he gets all emotional. It's like, hang on a minute. You said literally a week before in an interview, it might have been a week before, it might have been a bit longer, in an interview, that your boy, Corey, would never get in a dirty bin. Even drunk, would never get in a dirty bin, especially wearing white trousers. He just wouldn't do it. And now you're just agreeable and saying, well, yeah, that must be what happened, even though nothing was found to suggest that apart from the weight of the bin lorry. There was no blood, there was no remains, there was no clothes, there was no bones, there was nothing to suggest that Corey had ever been in the back of that lorry or ever been in that landfill. But yet, everybody seems to be okay just accepting the fact that he was, because the police are like, well, the lorry did weigh a lot more than it usually did. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, okay, what was in the back of that lorry that made the lorry weigh more than what it usually would do? That is a question that needs to be answered. But at the end of the day, with no evidence to suggest that he was ever in the back of that lorry or ever at that landfill, how is everybody just saying, right, okay, well, that mean, how is everybody just, including his mum and dad and his brother, the people close to him, just accepting that that's what's happened and not even trying to fight for what actually happened to him or even trying to find him? Because they've not found a trace of him. They've not found nothing. They've not been able to have a funeral. They've not been able to do nothing. Doesn't make sense to me that his parents and his brother are not fighting for this. What's happened? It's all a bit weird to me. And I'm not suggesting anything because I'm not about that, and I'm not, I don't have enough proof to be able to suggest or accuse anything. So I'm not going to say nothing. All I'm going to say is that it's just very, very weird that a week or just over a week before the inquest, his dad was absolutely adamant that he wouldn't do this. He wouldn't get in the back of a bin or get in a bin, a dirty bin, especially with white trousers on. He just wouldn't do it. So a week later, or just over a week later, after the inquest, saying thank you, this must be what happened. We've got closure. We now know what's happened to our boy. But no, you don't, because there's no evidence to suggest. There's no evidence to suggest that he was ever in the back of that lorry or even at that landfill. So why are you okay just accepting this? Is it easier for you to just accept this instead of actually trying to find him? Are you exhausted? Is it just easier for you to accept that he's gone? Or, what? I don't get it. Because if it was me in that position and that was my boy or my daughter, and the police were saying that to me, I'd be saying to police, well, hang on, how are you making them assumptions and saying that unfortunately, this is definitely what did happen, off one bit of evidence, which was the weight of the lorry. There was no blood in the back of the bin lorry. There was no remains. There was nothing. And you checked the landfill, there was nothing. So how are you coming to me and saying, well, this must be what happened to your child, when there's no evidence apart from the weight of the lorry? Like, that's not good enough. And that's what I would be saying if it was me. But his parents seem to be okay just accepting that that is what happened, even though it's practically impossible for it to have happened in that way. Because, like I said, and I'm repeating the same thing again, no evidence to suggest he was ever in the back of the bin lorry or ever at that landfill. The only two bits of evidence that he could have possibly been in the back of that bin lorry, was the fact that his phone travelled from that cul-de-sac to just outside Barton Mills, where the landfill was, and the weight of the lorry. But you're telling me that a body gets crushed in the back of a lorry and there's no blood, there's nothing, there's not even a sign of a body. The thing is, the bin men themselves are not going to climb in the back of that lorry and check that lorry. They're not going to do that. But when you impounded it, I would like to assume you checked every inch of that lorry, including inside, to make sure that there was, so you could find out whether he would have been in there, to find out if there was blood in there, so you could, maybe take a sample of the blood and be like, right, well, yeah, this is definitely what happened. I'd like to assume that you did that, and you did do that. I would imagine so. And then you check the landfill and found nothing again, but yet the inquest still says that this is what happened. The only bit of evidence was the weight of the lorry and the fact that his mobile phone travelled the exact route of the bin lorry. But what's to say that he didn't accidentally drop his phone in that bin and ended up going somewhere else? What's to say that, I don't know what else is on that cul-de-sac, or whether it is just a cul-de-sac of bins. I assume there's something else or some other building there. What's to say he didn't go find someone's house at that cul-de-sac and they've got him? What's to say that that didn't happen? Like, I'm not making assumptions. I'm not making or anything like that. But I'm just saying, this case. There is more questions than answers when it comes to it, and yet his parents seem to be okay just accepting it. And look, like I said, with the last one, obviously my thoughts and my prayers and my condolences go out to, his parents and his parents and his friends, and and all that, because I know it must be devastating. It's more devastating, in my opinion. It must be more devastating not knowing what happened to your friend or your son or your family member, more than actually knowing what happened to them. I don't know. I just find it very, very bizarre that this is all just okay, and it's not being questioned, that the police have made this decision and this assumption. I don't get it. I don't understand it myself. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a very different one from me today, but I just had to, sort of talk about them two deaths, and because they've been playing on my mind all day. I've been very confused, and these videos that I've watched, I think, two of his videos, and every single death apart from them two, I felt like, right, okay, I've got the full story. Yeah, that's obviously what happened. With them two that I told you about, the one with the walk-in oven, and then the one with, with Corrie, you know, disappearing, and the police saying this is what's happened, even though there's no evidence to suggest otherwise. Well, apart from the weight of the lorry and the mobile phone, like, there's no other evidence to suggest that he was ever in the back of that lorry or at the landfill. But they're just going with that, and the parents are okay with that. I don't know, it's all a bit weird to me, but I just had to get it off my chest because it's been playing on my mind all day. But I hope you've enjoyed this style of video. If you have, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you want more of these sort of videos from me, because I wouldn't mind doing these sort of videos, because I quite enjoy talking about these sort of things, and I quite enjoy trying to solve mysteries, and I just do. So I wouldn't mind doing more of these sort of videos. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you very, very soon. Bye bye.